Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I'm Dr. Kelly Tanner. Guess who I have back? Guess who's back? Back again, Uche. And what's up, Uche? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I love talking to you. I love sharing my energy with your audience. This is going to be good. I know it's going to be good.
I know. Uche and I were talking about, well, we knew that we were going to do another episode, right?
Yeah.
And what do we both have in common that's so important, Uche, for anything?
Yeah, mindset, how we think about things, our perception, and it precedes all results. The mind goes first. So this is going to be a hot topic.
Yeah. When you change your mind, you change your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
yes.
before we hopped on backstage, we were talking about how, of course, Uchi's known for fitness and everything, health and wellness, and, the magician for everything, the former Elvis star. Now he's just like the star of health. He's this beacon of health. We talked about from going to Elvis to going to health before.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool story. But then, what comes before all of that? And where does a person get started when they say, I just don't like going to the gym, or I don't know that I'm good at remembering people's names, or I'm not good at this, or I don't think I can do that. Where does a person go from there, Uchi?
Yeah, it's the mind. I know we were talking about it before in the green room. It's really, thoughts precede our words, which precede actions, which precede results. People want the result. They look at Jay-Z, they look at Beyonce, they look at Warren Buffett, they look at Musk and go, oh my God, how come he was worth 30 billion at the beginning of the pandemic? And why is he worth 250 billion now? They think differently. People who have different results think differently. So instead of looking at strategies, everyone wants the hacks for health, the hacks for money, the hacks having a great office. No one realizes that the thoughts are seeds. But
Mhm.
again, hacks are easy to buy and find. Thoughts are a little bit harder to change. There's a lot of entrenched habits in all of us. So this is what we're talking about, like how to change entrenched habits, like that cerebellum, that 95% of what my day looks like today is what I've always thought. So how do we get into that 95%?
Because we want the instant result. It's like I tell my personal trainer, I was like, can you just do this for me? Wouldn't that be so much easier? She says, no, you do. You have to do the work.
Hmm.
But it's in anything. It's ingrained in making money. It's ingrained, the economics of anything. And some of it's learned, but some people will say, my family's always done this, and it's always been done this way. So, I get that from my dad, or I get that from my mom. I'm sure you hear that. But the fact is that we are always at choice to
Hmm.
make a change. And even if it's just a small incremental decision, even when it comes to eating, it's just one decision each time of what you're putting in your mouth, and one decision about how you're feeling about bringing the money in, or starting the business, or, right?
Well, it's choice, but the preceding the choice though is what I'm thinking. So if they, what do you expect from me? I'm Greek. What do you expect? I'm from Washington D.C. What do you expect? I'm from the South. What do you think? I'm from Chicago. Well,
Mhm.
um, people constantly repeat things over and over, and like the rut in a country road, like the gouge in the record, the body falls into that constant trap of my story. Hey, I'm a single mom. I'm a single mom, or I'm a single. It's like being a single dad. It's like being a general dentist. I'm a general dentist. So it's like being a hygienist in Toledo. So the more people repeat that, the more it becomes a consistent, entrenched titanium part of who they are. And I hear it all the time, and I won't buy into it. Actually, I can't let someone say it in my presence without correcting them, because it means if I'm silent, I'm condoning it. A patient will come in. Oh, they'll break off a mesial buccal spinal lower molar, very common. And no matter what, usually no one says it under 30. It's always the 30 plus crowd. 20-year-olds don't talk about it. Actually, 20-year-olds don't break their teeth because their teeth are so flexible and full of moisture because they're drinking, right? They're youthful. But over 40, people often say, oh, I broke a tooth last night. Ooh, I'm falling apart. I hear it at least every day, every
Mm.
day. And I say, you know what? Not necessarily. I said, the more you say it, the more you're going to find reasons to prove yourself out. She
Yeah.
goes, what do you mean? I'm falling apart. It's like being 45? How old are you? And I said, I never tell people because they always get annoyed. When people hear my age, they're never happy to hear it. So I just leave it off the table. But
You're like, I'm 104.
I'm 104. Whatever. It's all about energy. If I literally close my eyes right now, because I'm pain free physically, if I close my eyes, I can go back to being 8 when my family came across from England to Canada with my parents to make a new life for us. I can be 8 years old. So I'm a timeless, ageless spirit. So Einstein said there's no such thing as time. It's very relative to what you're doing. This podcast is going to fly by because I love spending time with you. But if I had to find the mesial buccal canal, MB2 canal, and an endo upper molar, guess what? It's going to feel like an eternity because I don't enjoy doing endo. So
Hmm.
that being said, so I don't do endo. I refer it out to some great endodontist in Toronto. So that being said, it is my constant thought pattern, and that's what this was the topic of our show. Like, what do we constantly say to ourselves, and then we don't realize how much that impacts
Yeah.
our appearance, our energy, our metabolism, our how we look, how if our hair grows or doesn't grow, or the saliva in our mouth. Being anxious, dry mouth. There's so many ways thoughts impact our physiology.
Yeah. Even I know people in their 20s or even their early 30s would just say, "Oh, I'm just getting old." And I was like, if you're getting old now, what are you going to be like when you're 40? What are you going to be like when you're 60? And I am the same as you, Uchi, and you probably could guess that, but I don't let people talk ill of themselves. I was like, no, rewind, go back and reframe that because it's not true. Whatever you believe is true is what you're going to attract. And that's
For sure.
exactly what you said. It's I'm falling apart. Well, then you're going to find reasons to prove that. So let's think about flipping that. And what if you said, I am health? Have everything I do is for me. And because a story is only as good as the story we tell ourselves. Right.
Mhm. But
And so go ahead.
no, it's to change that story though. Like you got to see what average lives are like and average thought processes. Like you're an elite professional. You're in the top 5% of income earners. So it's hard to feel what the woman and the man in the street feels. And there's a sense of destiny. Parents are fat, I'm going to be fat. Or my mom has breast cancer, my sister's breast cancer,
Mm,
I'm going to get some tests done. Or which is fine getting testing done, but don't assume you're going to live out your genes. They've actually shown that for every one of our 21,000 protein coding genes, 21,000, they've actually shown that each gene has up to 35,000 ways it can express itself. So you might have the gene for something, but if you don't live the lifestyle, you will not express it. And part of either up regulating or down regulating a gene is thoughts, as much as
mhm.
exposure to sun. You
Yes.
could have the gene for all kinds of diseases, but if you don't live that lifestyle, you will not get that disease. So epigenetics can be changed. You can change your genes. Literally,
Yes, you
if
can.
you can worry yourself sick, like Joe Dispenza says, why can't we think ourselves healthy? So this
Yes.
is all new. Patients love this chair side, and dentists will say, how do you have the time to bring up a 2 hour keynote chair side? Well, I said, you anesthetize people, you numb them. There's time to chat. I'm not going to change someone's life in a minute, but unless they're ready, the teacher arrives, when the student's ready. But I plant the seed. If I see a glazed over look, guess what? We'll continue doing the composite filling. But if they're like, Doc, you know what? I am ready to make a new move. I said, hey, there's a great book on mindset by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. Here it is on my phone. And that makes me a total patient health dentist because I
Yes.
focused on all of them, like right from their head down to their toes. The teeth are part of it, but head to toe. That's my focus, head to toe. And patients are starving for a healthcare provider that looks at all of them. And so that's why, we're starting with mindset. I think this is seed right here. This is
Yeah.
where the harvest, this is where we plant the seed, and thoughts are seeds.
So what I just heard you say is that you can change your genetic makeup. We also reprogram our brains and the neuroplasticity of our brains by rewiring the way that we think. And there is a way to do that. You think about, there's probably many different ways to do that, but you can reprogram yourself. But the first thing to know is when it's actually happening, is to be conscious of when you're saying that. I think I caught myself doing this a few weeks ago. I said something to one of my friends, and then they said, "Why did you just say that?" And I said, "I have no idea where that came from. Someone else caught me saying that. And it's something that I would have never said." And I don't know if it had to do because sometimes too, I think we, if we're around people, so you brought up the example of, you're part of a family who is overweight, or you're part of a family who acts like this. When you're around that family, you kind of make your mindset can be smaller around that side of the family so you fit in, so you don't make other people uncomfortable. Would you agree with that? So sometimes we don't talk about all the great things we're doing. We just kind of minimize it because we think it's having humility, and we digress into that.
That's interesting. You'll see a lot of people who've done well in life. They've actually moved away from their home base.
Hmm.
If you live in that town you grew up in, hey, Uche, you're the guy that peed his pants in grade one. I'll get told that every day. I didn't pee my pants in grade one, but you'll remind it. So you like Brad Pitt moved away from Iowa. Elon Musk moved away from South Africa. I went to Canada. Now he's in USA. So part of that is, I'm not saying you got to get rid of your family, but oftentimes family know you. Oh, my mom says, I know you. Or your older brother, oh, you'll never do that. So when you're around people who know you since you were born, unless they're motivational cheerleaders, unless your parents were Tony Robbins and your mom was Jillian Michaels, I guess that's not possible. But if it is possible, Jillian Michaels has kids. But unless your parents are Jillian Michaels and Tony Robbins, it's a pretty much a negative environment. And you think, Ooch, are you being negative? I said, well, you talk to most people behind closed doors, people have had it pretty tough. So they all think just, oh, I'm this way because I was blessed. But again, I moved away from London. My dad moved away from Nigeria. My mom moved away from Ireland. We moved to Canada. We moved to a smaller city in the middle of Canada. And now we're in Toronto. So basically 20 years ago, we started over. So starting over, you get a new chance. But if you live in the same environment you grew up in, unless you had great, beautiful, trampolining friends and family, you're probably sucking wind and wondering why your life is not going anywhere. So part of getting ahead is positive people. And it's amazing how many times your friends will champion you more than your spouse sometimes. Your friends will champion you more than your childhood friend. Or strangers will champion you more. The audience, your clients, your patients will say, oh my God, you're such a good dentist. In the back of your mind, go, oh, my dad hates me or my stepmom doesn't like me. So there's something about getting around a new environment which allows you to shed a coat, like a heavy winter coat, of growing up that allows you to feel lighter. And you get rid of the guilt because oftentimes I think what happens, good friends, they will remind you what you wanted to do. And many times we play, as you said, we play down our
Yes.
accomplishments just to not annoy your older sister who still works in the same place for the last 42 years. So you
Right.
kind of downplay it. So, which is nothing wrong with that. To get along to Thanksgiving, you don't show a PowerPoint of your recent accolades, right? That's the last thing you want to do.
I mean, you
Eh,
don't? I'm kidding.
Yeah. Uch is there for Thanksgiving dinner. We're just going to read his intro speech. They don't want to know that. But also to connect with family is important. But many times, though, that's your core. But most people didn't grow up with a good core. And there's a really good book called Eastern Body, Western Mind by Annette Joden. And she said 85% of us are struggling with first chakra issues,
Mm.
struggling with I am worthy, I am valuable, I deserve.
Yes.
So if someone's not exercising and they're overweight or obese, or they don't even have a good teeth, like I find patients with rampant decay and don't take care of themselves, there's a worthiness part of it. It's like, I don't deserve good health. So feeling worthy is massive. And that's part of that ongoing story we tell ourselves. And it starts at birth, childhood, family of origin issues. Most people didn't grow up with Tony Robbins as a dad and Jenna Michaels as a mom. Like it was a struggle for most of us.
Yes. Yes. I had like 500 different thoughts as you were talking about that. The worthiness of knowing that there is more. And I remember when I took it was through my baby years. I felt like I was having babies or nursing for probably 5 years. I don't even know. Yeah, it was all a blur, right? And I remember looking and I'm like, I've had enough. I've had enough of this. I've had enough of making excuses for myself because I feel like it's the saying, you're never better than your excuses. They're the best
Mhm.
excuse that you can make. And I feel like some people who get in this stuck mindset that they have a reason because it protects them, because maybe they feel like they don't have energy, but maybe the real reason is that they have social anxiety.
Mhm.
And so they keep themselves in this place because of that fear and anxiety. But I'll tell you what's on the other side of that anxiety is the trust in what happens when you come out of your shell, the trust that even when you don't know what is on the other side of that and what your life might look like, or if that's even possible for you, ps everything is possible for you, that their life looks different and that's what's uncomfortable.
Mhm. There's so many things involved here. This is like a PhD. Obviously, there's like
Yeah.
you could talk all about a family trauma, childhood trauma. You look at some of the stats in that book, The Body Keeps the Score. 1 in 8 kids grew up watching their mom being hit by their dad. 1 in 8 kids grew up with their mom being
Mhm.
hit by their dad. 1 in 4 kids grew up with an alcoholic relative. 1 in 3 kids grew up and were sexually abused. There's a whole chunk of childhood or adverse childhood events, ACEs they call it, And that alone, if we've all had something, but if it's never acknowledged or treated or it's repressed, it shows up in our relationships, shows up in our fitness, shows up in our hair, shows up in our gingiva, shows up in our thoughts, shows up in our immunity. So a lot of people wonder why they've dated the same guy 4 times in a row, or they've never get a chance to break out of the operatory, or they've never had a chance to open their own business, or they never had a chance to think I'm worthy. Well, if someone doesn't acknowledge our childhood trauma, that background story, which for many of us is repressed, guess what? Life is never blooming. You're always wondering why them, not me. But yeah, there's a lot there in what we just talked about. But family stuff, like, so counseling is massive. But
Yeah.
again, if someone's a shift worker and you're tired, and if you're tired, I love what Vince Lombardi said, that famous college football coach. He said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. So the minute we're tired or working shift work, which is 30% of our patients, 30% of us are shift workers or rotating shift, you're too tired and you lack the discipline to make good decisions. So you'll
Mm.
never attack the hard stuff. You'll always use, retail therapy, buying stuff online when you don't need it, porn, alcohol, cannabis, food, all things to numb ourselves, which relieve the tension of never attacking our childhood or family origin stuff. So all these addictions are basically just filling the void that is there, that thing, something's not quite right. But because we're tired, 30% of people are tired, or even be nutrient deficient. The minute your body's nutrient deficient, you cannot have good neurotransmitters to make good thoughts.
Yeah.
So there's so much here, and that's why I look at my 4 pillars: sleep, stress, food, and exercise. You start doing those, they start unraveling, and you can start digging deep and possibly expose the childhood trauma, to get the counseling, begin a new relationship, saying I feel worthy, maybe start flossing, think I deserve to have good papilla.
I
But
deserve good papilla.
yeah,
That's your
we're talking
affirmation.
about
That's
yeah,
your
we're talking.
pocket affirmation for the day. I deserve good papilla.
I deserve good papilla. I deserve good papilla.
But I'm thinking too about even this last time because life has the thing. I went into a relationship a few years ago, and when you do that, you're happy, you're drinking, you're eating, you're enjoying meals, you're doing all the things, and it's like, okay, my body has changed, my clothes shrunk. What in the world? And so when I got back on the bus, I remember that the first thing that I prioritized, I said, I am prioritizing sleep, period, the end. Period. I'm starting with sleep. I got my Aura ring, which helps me track my sleep. And
Nice.
that was my first priority. That 1% that I was doing better every day. And I felt like it was better measured, I could say. And then I could sense and feel in my body what my body was telling me because I would just go because I'm just, I'm so passionate about so many things that sometimes we don't realize when we're tired, Uji. It's
Hmm.
just we don't realize when our body needs something because our brain is logically saying, just keep going, you're fine, but we don't stop to pause to think, how am I feeling and what are the other signs that my body is telling me?
There's so much there. Like that's why Abraham Maslow, his hierarchy of human needs. I want to save the world, but if you're tired, it's not going to happen. I want to love my spouse more. I want to love my boyfriend or girlfriend more. Well, if you're nutrient deficient or emotionally triggered because you're missing magnesium or you're missing vitamin D, which controls 5% of our genes, you're not going to be able to. You have good intentions, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, food, sleep, breath, nasal breathing. It's hard to be altruistic and be full of emotional intelligence if you're a mouth breather.
Yeah.
Mouth breathers, their nervous systems are always in fight or flight. You cannot be a lover in flight or flight. You cannot be an active listener in fight or flight mode. 25% of North Americans are in fight or flight because they're mouth breathers and they don't know where to go to fix it. They just know I can't breathe in through my nose. How often? How many times a year? Well, from March till April, September till November. Well, that's half the year. Well, so their body's accelerated aging half the year. There is no altruism when you're mouth breathing. So there's a number of books and studies. There's myofunctional therapists, there's hygienists who study this stuff. There's dentists who are into this stuff. It comes up on your sleep score. If
Mhm.
people have the guts to go to get a sleep study, I don't want to get a sleep study. It doesn't cost too much. Hey, a stroke is going to cost you more. Having being divorced twice is going to cost you more. So you need good sleep. You need good sleep. If you want to be emotionally intelligent and have a good relationship, you need to sleep well. It's just snoring. Well, do you ever notice that you're sleeping in another bedroom in the house that you're paying for? So there's an element of foundation. So breath and sleep, because even thoughts, like it's hard to have. People talk about being hangry. Hangry means you're hungry. Hangry means your body, no, body's not just calories but nutrients. So if someone's a fast food eater and 95% of all food eaten outside the home is fast food. So right away, the body is never happy. There's always cravings. So many people are anxiety ridden and have anger management problems simply because they're missing nutrients. No matter how many times they walk on fire, no matter how many times they meditate, the body is angry. They're in sympathetic dominant mode. So you can have all these intentions of meditating, but guess what? It's not going to happen until you feed your body nutrients. And so you start breathing good until you start sleeping well. That's why Abraham Maslow's hierarchy says first, sleep, breath, food, and then find the job of your dreams. Don't even talk about being in a relationship if you're sleep deprived, because you will not be a pleasant person.
No.
Angela Jolie might ask you out, Brad Pitt might knock on your door, and you'll be hangry. What the hell do you want? Yeah, you got to manage your physiology
Not
first
sexy. Not sexy
before
when you're
Brad Pitt
angry.
comes. Yeah, before Brad Pitt comes to the door, or you know, it could be Tom Brady, whoever it is. You got to make sure you got magnesium inside you.
So, Uche, I know people ask you this a million times a year, but where do people start? I know we're talking about mindset. So your fitness, your wellness, your everything, and this can apply to everything. But where do you tell people to start with changing their habits?
Well, the one that you first comes to mind is amazing. Our body, Deepak Chopra, the psychoneuroimmunologist, said your body is always giving you messages of comfort or discomfort. People know what they need to work on first. They might say, you know what, I never get to bed before midnight. And I say, if you become a sleep master, if you become a sleep deprived, angry person, and you change that and say, you know what, I'm 30 or I'm 60 or I'm 70. And as long as if you can't start at 70, health is in escrow, waiting. The body has beautiful health in escrow, waiting for you to take care of itself. So the minute you start going to bed on time, and I've had people ask me the other day, if I start going to bed early, when will I notice it? Well, with the intention, like if I say tonight I'm going to bed before midnight, I can celebrate making that intention. So many people have to wait until they lose 10 pounds, until they fit into their skinny
Mhm.
jeans before they can celebrate. Celebrate making that intention. Celebrate making one new friend, listening to a podcast like your beautiful podcast,
Thank you.
buying that new book. I celebrate going into the grocery store to buy the groceries. I don't need to eat the salad. I get excited about health, getting my cart and walking in. So I can celebrate 10 times every hour. I celebrate every minute, right? Sharing my passion with you today. I have my windows down, getting sun on my face as I drive to work. At healthcare provider in Canada, I'm in a beautiful place. So I think celebrating more often, like the atomic habits,
Yes.
all these good new little habits stack on each other. And then you're like, you know what? Like Uchi and Kelly said, my life is pretty magical. And you're 3 days in. You don't have to wait 90 days for your
Yeah.
transformation.
Yeah. It's how you feel. I think it's
Mhm.
that your body is upgrading, it's upgrading your thoughtware, right? And your mind to say, I can experience the gratitude and the health that already is even before it happens, because it starts with that intention of I am taking care of me. Because again, it comes from that, I think, self-love. We don't learn how to love ourselves. That's, I think, where the worthiness comes from, the all the other things, and some of the sickness comes from, because we are not putting self first because we think it's
Mhm.
selfish, when really it's not. It's opposite. It's
Yeah.
important. You must take care of yourself first.
And that love, that self-love, we're very dependent. You cannot get away from needing to get others' approval for love. When you're a baby, you're helpless on your back. Your mom's feeding you, dad might be changing the diaper or vice versa, whoever it is. But you look to others to help you. So, but if those people are non well put together, and because there's no course on being a parent, many people grow up with parents that are non too well put together. So you end up taking on their baggage. And it's nothing wrong. We all have baggage. Some people break through it. I think Elon Musk saw his mom being beaten to a pulp by his dad regularly, and he's a billionaire now. So it's not all everyone who grew up with their parents, it's been domestic violence, so you're gonna end up in shatters. But he just had a talent. And this is where I start seeing the value of finding what you're good at. And this is kind of really new what I've seen. Um, if you did have a lot of disharmony and negativity in your family of origin, or even now, if you have a talent, you can pour your passion. And believe it or not, the word passion means suffering. You can pour your energy, your passion into what you're good at. And like Van Gogh, his mom abused him. Van Gogh got abused by his mom. He had an older brother who died about age 1. And his mom kept comparing Van Gogh to this angel. He could never live up to this angel. They kept telling young Van Gogh. And Van Gogh was tormented. He was a tormented soul. His older brother Theo said, "You draw. You keep drawing." He drew 700 to 1,000 pictures every month. He was painting. So when you have a lot of pain, he was a tortured soul. and you pour your pain into a talent, you become world class. But many people, if you don't have a talent, that's a sad thing. If you don't believe you're worthy of a talent
Yeah.
because the pain is so deep, suicide, sexual abuse, the pain might be so deep, you don't even think you're worthy. But that's the whole other story. But if you can pour your pain into one of your gifts, that gift will take you to state, national, international levels. And you can be, Elvis was a tortured soul. He poured his pain into music, king of pop, king of rock and roll. Michael Jackson, tormented as a child, abused by mom and dad, forced to play for 12 hours a day. He poured that into his music and became king of pop. So if you have pain, we can pour our pain. Andrew Jolie, bad relationship with her dad. John Voight, they publicly have arguments in public, which is not the place to have family arguments.
Mm-mm.
She poured her pain into acting. She's incredible. She's she generates income. She's a charitable. But again, look how she shows up in her relationships. So, 4 relationships in, still that tortured soul. So, but if you have pain, though, pouring it into your unique talent can definitely cause some healing. But until you address that pain, do I feel worthy of a husband? Do I feel worthy of a good wife? Do I feel worthy of a good job? It'll come back to haunt us. And that's why you see people with seemingly like they have everything. They're lonely and sad at nighttime. So I know there's a lot there we're talking about, but that
I know there's so much to say about this
for
and
sure,
layers
for
of it,
sure.
but
Yeah.
but if your mind's not right, you repel what you want.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if you don't feel worthy, you'll meet the man of your dreams and constantly annoy him. And you're thinking, why do I annoy this guy? I keep annoying this guy. And you keep doing it because you might be testing him. But again, what you want moves away. You can have the staff of your dream, the team of your dream. But if you don't give compliments and feedback regularly in performance reviews, they leave.
Mhm.
So you get what you want. And then if you don't feel worthy of it, we actually repel it and we start over again. And basically, we keep starting things over and over again until we meet ourselves. And hopefully, we meet them at 30 or 40 or 50. But sometimes at 80, you'll
Yeah.
say, you know what? I need to be more grateful. I need to treat people more gently. I need to give myself some grace. And you're 80. But if you're 80 and never learned those lessons, you're still honking your horn in the traffic jam and going, hey, I hate you. I hate your guts. So you could be 80 and never learn the lesson. And then you're not a wise old man. You're an 80-year-old in chronology, but you're still a 7-year-old in your emotions. So it's managing your mind or thoughts and emotions obviously is first, and all these hacks which get sold on social. Oh, Uch, what's the best magnesium, or what's the best weight training program, what kind of yoga mat should I buy? Forget the how. Look at the seed, which is getting yourself to feeling worthy, and then we'll talk. So a big part of the program is my sessions. Just what are your whys? What are your whys? Are you a young mom? Are you an older dad? So, I have a 9-year-old. With a 9-year-old, everyone assumes I'm in my 40s, but that 9-year-old keeps me young though, because if I don't know how to airdrop, I look like a loser, like, hey,
Yeah.
Dad, could you airdrop me? Could you update my Roblox? Roblox? Let's get those bricks on the street. Dad, that's a game that's really popular. So
That's
having
why we
youth,
work to give them to up their games and to give them clothes for their characters.
for sure, for sure. So staying current can keep you young. So it's like a vish, not it's like a cycle. By having good thoughts, you attract good things. By feeling worthy, you attract more good things.
Yeah.
And whether it's the universe or woo or God or whatever you want to call it, I think, as you said, part of your brain keeps giving you what you think about all the time. And
Hmm.
people like that's why there's no one America. There is no one Canada. There's no human experience. When someone says dentistry is, they should really say my experience with dentistry, not they're saying my experience.
Yeah.
So we're all so unique in our interpretation. So whatever we look for or talk about or ask ourselves all the time is what we get. So there is no hygienist, there is no dental assistant, there is no implant, there is no human experience, there's no California, there is no New York. It's your experience in California, having a flat tire and getting stopped and then getting mugged and someone steals your jack. That's
Yeah.
California to a lot of people is heaven.
Yeah.
Alabama to a lot of people is heaven. But if you're experienced there and then you spread it like wildfire to anyone who will listen. So, and that's that repeated sad sack story. We repeat sad sack stories all the time. So basically live out ongoing sad sack stories. And then we have this tension, which you got to relieve by buying stuff online, cannabis, booze, drugs, porn, and it goes on and on. And it's because it's not fulfilling, it's never satisfies that void, which is basically self-love, which you talked about from day one. That idea that I feel worthy. So if someone doesn't feel worthy, you'll keep finding shallow ways to fill that worthiness, and it's never good enough. So, but it makes for a great consumer. It keeps the economy going.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
To have tired, anxious, overweight people, a lot of businesses. But if you were your ideal weight, well rested, nasal breathing, spending 10 minutes in the sun every day, you had a journal, you ate apples and blueberries and had kefir and fermented foods, you'd go like, I don't need anything. I'm in heaven right now. I won't need retail therapy.
Yeah. And, we're given that free will to choose. And when we choose what it is that we want, everything works in order to bring it to us, but we have to choose it first. And so, my friends, this is all about choice and choosing your thoughts and choosing you. I think, at the beginning and the end of all of it, because if not, you're repeating cycles that you're not even, that is just subconsciously repeating itself. There's so much to say about this. So Uche, it's always an honor. I love spending time with you. I know that we could talk for like 12 more episodes, and we might. What do you have coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Again, I'm on the road. I'm writing articles, but I got a retreat. Never been part of a retreat before. That's going to come up in the spring of 2025. So if people are interested, they can direct message me through Instagram. It's going to be pretty cool. Space is going to be limited. It's going to be kind of like a inner circle thing. I don't need 200 people there. Ooh. It's going to be round table and deep. We're going to go deep. And anyone who wants health, energy, good skin, if anyone wants to grow their business, because you can't have a good business without health, they need to direct message me. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about so many things. I have upcoming sessions. I'm writing articles, but this retreat in particular is what excites me, and it's part of that Bulletproof Summit group. Dr. Craig and Dr. Peter that I'm hanging out with recently, and they've they've kind of it's new synergy is happening with these big-brained dentists from the Southeast. Peter in Atlanta and Craig in Delray. So some good things going on.
Love that. Where's the retreat happening?
Possibly Arizona. I haven't refined the time yet. It's going to be the spring of 2025.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's going to be powerful though. It's like I'm going to be in charge of the cooking, the food. I'm certified as a yoga teacher, so there'll be some mindfulness. There's going to be it's going to be a resort, so people will be able to get massages and oil dropped on their forehead. There's going to be classes. There's going to be some mindset, closed eye guided visualization. It's going to be pretty intense, but it's going to get the ball rolling for many people who are trying to find their way.
Yeah.
But so that's how does that not get my pulse quickening?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's awesome. Well, they can follow you on your Instagram, find out more details about that. DM Uche if you want more info. I mean, I'm going to DM you to get more info. I want to go. I'm like, what's the date?
You're invited. You're invited.
Thank you. Well, Uche, thank you so much. And to our followers and listeners, thank you for all that you do every single day. And, I always ask the favor to go on over to Apple Podcasts to give a 5-star rating, please. Please, please, please. And then go on over to YouTube, like, subscribe, and share, because when you press the like button, it improves the algorithm to suggest us to everyone else who may love our content, because we know that they will. Thank you, everyone. We will see you soon. Thanks, Uche.
Hey, pleasure.